Bible says in 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse number 11, now all these things happened unto them, the children of Israel, those of old. And these things are for examples, and they are written for our admonitions, upon whom the ends of the world come. As we are traveling, as it were, from the wilderness of this world, even to the heavenly Canaan land, this has a spiritual object lesson for you and I. It says here, as they passed through this land, it says their soul of the people was much discouraged because of the way. The way became hard. The way was not easy. As it were, they was on the straight and narrow path. They must enter into that straight gate, brothers and sisters, unto life. And as they on the straight and narrow path, as they were being led by God. You say, led by God? The Bible says that they were being led by the pillar of cloud by day and the pillar of fire by night. God was leading and guiding them in the way. But in this way, that Christian experience started to become hard. They started to become discouraged. As it were, they were going through a storm in that Christian experience, and they were discouraged. They were now coming into a time that it was testing their faith, brothers and sisters. And we're going to find often, as we're following Jesus, as God is leading us in the path of righteousness in our lives, we're going to find often that we're going to come into patches that's going to try fiery trials, as it were. It's going to try our faith, but we in these times must learn to look to our Ebenezer's. Look to how God has led us in our past experiences, as they could have looked back at how God divinely, providentially has kept them this 40 years. But not only has kept them, how they've been traveling through the wilderness, and God has allowed none of these wild, ravenous beasts to come and attack them. None of these fiery serpents to attack them. God, in the wilderness, was giving them water every single day. He had Moses to smite the rock, and that water basically followed them all throughout the wilderness, as it were, that they could have water to drink. God, every single day, except for on the Sabbath day, twice a day on Friday, rained down bread from heaven, and he was feeding them by his divine power and divine mercy every single day. There in the midst of the wilderness, they had to look to, as it were, God's blessings all around them. And this is an encouragement to you and I, that we in our hard times, in our Christian experience, we must look to how God has not only led us in our past, but look how God is divinely keeping us despite the darkness of our circumstances. Amen.